Stories are incredible, aren't they? Resonating tales like A Silent Voice, NieR, Attack on Titan, Berserk, Automata, and irrespective of genre, we regard these narratives with immense reverence. Immersed within its world and characters, there is an emotional connection we feel toward these fictional works. This fervor goes far beyond the frivolous concoction of dopaminergic entertainment. Stories are how we create and share meaning. Stories are not pointless. They have purpose. We wouldn't be so drawn to a thing otherwise. But what causes us to be so attached to them? In other words, what compels us to avoid grass for days as we obsessively binge a series and argue in forums with lesser fans, splurging paychecks on figurines and body pillows? A story's significance reaches as far back as humanity itself, becoming an integral part of our existence. For as far back as history can peer, there were stories. Stories provide the sole means through which we can rationalize the events unfolding around us, shaping how we respond to them. Stories are not so much an invention as they are the natural reaction to being. They are essential to human experience. I have a passion for storytelling that teeters along manic obsession. Stories mean a lot to me. It was at my lowest points in life when I could frequently rely on fiction to help me rebound from struggles. Stories have this restorative quality to lessen suffering and ameliorate our lives. This is what I try to convey with my channel, through my subpar analysis videos. I believe the proper stories can not only remediate difficulty, but lead us to a more virtuous and harmonious life. This is why we need stories, because their benefit is in bettering us. It's through stories that we can reach our fullest potential. So the question then becomes, how does it do this? I mean, this seems like a tall task for mere fiction. I will attempt to convey this through some examples of legendary works I believe perfectly exemplify our need for stories. But before I can do this, I will need to share some fundamental context prior. Don't worry, I'm going to wrap all of this around and tie it back to stories. Allow me to make a claim. Our universe is equally divided between order and chaos. This is explained in the Bible by God separating the light from the darkness, but also represented in Taoism by yin and yang, as well as a theory supported by many great philosophers and thinkers. Order means the known and defined. It refers to structure, predictability, and stability. Order is the state where everything makes sense. It's control. When your life is in order, everything has coherence, making it easier to understand and manage. For example, a stable job or a loving family. It's everything going right for you. Chaos means the unknown and undefined. It's randomness, unpredictability, and disorder. Nothing is in your control. Chaos is responsible for loss, depression, anxiety, and suffering. It's uncharted territory. Amid the chaos, you're unsure of what you're doing, where you're headed, or why any of this is happening. You're lost and confused. This is you losing your job or having a loved one pass away, or watching all of your companions get sacrificed in the eclipse. Naturally, we desire as little chaos in our lives as possible, but unfortunately, we don't have much choice in that matter. Inevitably, we will encounter chaos at multiple stages throughout life. This is terrifying to grasp. One day, life may seem calm and manageable. The next, it descends into a living hell. Chaos can easily surge beyond our capacity to bear and end up destroying us. Certain hardships strike so fatally that recovery is impossible. We are virtually at the mercy of chaos. Inevitably, its relentless hammer will fall, thrusting us into the depths of inexplicable pain and struggle. This is what we see unravel in the first episode of Attack on Titan. The onset of the story depicts the tranquil peace of a fortified city, safe from the Titan dangers beyond its borders, as Eren and Mikasa complete their firewood gathering and head home. Things are so calm that Hannes, a member of the garrison, is able to get drunk on the job with no consequence, except for the heated reprimand of Eren's.
The Titans are gonna eat us because we're cow!
When we're introduced to Eren's family, we see a well-structured and loving household. The same sense of communal closeness extends to his friendship with Armin. Eren has a loving family, a loyal friend, an Asian goth girlfriend, and a well-adjusted and comfortable life within the walls. For the past century, there has not been a single Titan attack to occur, and no sign there ever will be. In short, everything in his world is fulfilling and good. However, within a single moment, all of it inverts. From one flash of lightning, humanity collapses and life's normalcy vanishes. Everything that ever made sense ceases to now. Eren's world is destroyed. The reason why the climax is so emotionally impactful and has us crying like a newborn is because, on a symbolic and metaphysical level, it is wholly relatable. We identify with that random cruelness that is a condition of life. I'm sure those thoughts have crossed your mind. Why is this happening? How could this be? That's the epitome of chaos. In moments like this, what are we to do? Well, Attack on Titan is 4 seasons, 2 movies, 3 parts, and The Last Attack long. It doesn't end with humanity's doom. We watch them bravely sacrifice everything to fight back. The Titans are not their ruination, and they only gain more strength along the way. Most of all, we watch Eren, Mikasa, and Armin mature and mend their scars as they reclaim back their right to freedom and seek to restore what they lost. So, what are we to do with chaos? We have to confront it and overcome it, restoring order back into our lives. I think you can deduce what I'm alluding to. This is exactly what stories help us do. This is why I said at my lowest points, I felt stories have always helped me through them. It's never any direct answers like, oh, this explains why my life is falling apart. Seek therapy for that. But in a symbolic sense, they help give us direction when wrestling with chaos. Trace back stories to their earliest form, and they have always been about making sense of the unknown. Simple paintings along cave walls were constructed which gave guidance toward threatening dangers. Greek gods emerged to give reason for nature and random disasters. The Dark Ages curated tales of witches to explain famine and plague, and an excuse to burn women at the stake. When life became comfortable societally and wasn't sheer survival, we had time to develop crippling depression. Books were written to tackle our inner demons and existentialism, the internal chaos. No matter the time period, one thing remained the same throughout. Stories have always attempted to assist us in working through chaos. Stories help us process and conceptualize chaos, clarifying its nature and helping us navigate and order it effectively. For example, when one is disconcerted over the trauma of losing a loved one, in their dejection, they might find comfort in an anime like I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, where the protagonist is faced with similar tribulation he must contend with. As we watch his travail and recovery, we may find something in his journey that can be applicable to our situation. We can then integrate some of the story's principles in ourselves to help us cope. Suddenly, that unknown we wandered into seems less frightening. We have something leading the way now. Guts is quite possibly the most influential character in fiction. Berserk earns its acclaim because it's a perfect embodiment of this purpose. Guts is a character who undergoes cycles of order and chaos throughout his story. It's the very reason Skull Knight dubs him the name Struggler. He was a child born from death and raised by betrayal. With the brand of sacrifice, Guts is best summarized as a surviving curse. After the eclipse, Guts isn't just thrown into chaos, he's swallowed into a black hole of it. The first volumes of Berserk are my personal favorites because, despite Guts being edgy, it depicts the raw, painful toll chaos takes on the psyche. We see Guts lose his way, adrift in the cacophony of aimless revenge as the fracture of order erodes his mind. In a meager attempt to cope with matters, through spurts of anger and rage, he lashes out. Whether this is directed at demons or toward people is irrelevant, for he has deserted his regard for anyone. Guts is barely holding himself together, and being desperate for any prosperous outcome, the Baelitz becomes the only means for making sense of his circumstances, and his only map out of the abyss he's trapped in. What we see is a man broken under the overwhelming consumption of chaos, but we also see a man continue to stand and fight back, despite his petty existence. He becomes one hell of an inspiring leader because of this. Guts gets through it by living for others, and we can get through it by doing the same. We pick up his strategies, consciously or not. Though we may not be hunted by demons and carry a hatred for sexy white-haired men, our similarity and struggle is closer than the boundary of fiction would have you believe. Guts' battle against demonic forces is a metaphor for our own confrontation with inner demons. So even with man-eating naked giants and backstabbing Batman cosplayers, stories can mimic the genuine feelings of affliction we experience within ourselves. And this helps us discern how we can travail in our own chaos. It's a repeated pattern in myth-telling, a cliché for the hero to slay the dragon, because it symbolizes our own victory over chaos. But winning is half the story. There is peculiar information I've been omitting until this point revolving around our perception of chaos. Normally attached to the term is a negative connotation, but there is a benefit to chaos for as much as we're avoidant of it. Yes, it is just a phase for Guts, and when he's back to normal, he's grown, matured, and learned from the experience. He's become a new man. From my favorite page in the entire manga, as Guts looks upon his companions, 2 panels contrast side by side, revealing the new friends he's gained from the old ones he's lost. Mere structural reform is insufficient without a renewed foundation. Suffering endured without gain is futile. To expand upon the myth analogy, when the hero slays the dragon, the reward transcends the restoration of peace to the land. The dragon guards a treasure, ripe for the hero's taking. There's a reason for conquering chaos beyond just re-establishing order. Chaos is necessary for growth. It actually leads to betterment. There are things we gain from it that we couldn't have otherwise. We need chaos for as much as we need order. It's this constant fluctuation between the 2 planes that keeps us moving forward. It's how we develop, progress, and obtain fulfillment. Thorfinn's words, "I have no enemies," is one of the most resonating truths because it shows that there is something which waits for us. It's by this rule of reality we unlock our fullest potential. Stories simulate this pattern and are conduits through which we can actualize this truth. If I sound like a broken record at this point, my apologies. I warned you I'm manically obsessed over this stuff. Fiction is there to help us. Life makes sense when told through a story. Woe to those who use stories as entertainment for passive consumption. They're using the tool wrong, a tool by which can make the world greater. Stories take our difficulties and reflect it back at us in a meaningful way, in a way that gives purpose, and there's an aura of fulfillment from it. This is why they matter. 2B and 9S are distinctive characters. Born from Yoko Taro's brilliantly crazed mind, they serve as guinea pigs for his sadism, having immeasurable suffering inflicted on their mechanical parts. There is no greater chaos in life than a meaningless one, and NieR Automata's story is about existentialism. When Earth is ravaged by an alien invasion, deploying machine life forms to conquer the planet, humans are forced to retreat to the moon. To reclaim Earth, humans deploy android units known as Yorha to fight against the machines. But when it's discovered that humanity is extinct and the war was a fabrication, the androids must contend with this truth, that their existence has held no value. Remember when I said too much chaos will destroy you? Through NieR's world, we witness this. When our lives are completely void of order, this is the result. The one who suffers the most as a consequence to this is 9S. He cannot reconcile with the disaster that befalls him. Having it be too much to harness for growth, it inevitably consumes him into the abyss. This is the common outcome for many of the characters in the story, the struggle to make sense of a senseless existence. Using historical philosophy, Yoko Taro depicts the real ways people confront life's chaos, revealing whether it shatters them or allows them to prosper. The reality of being perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of life and death. But for as tragic as the game is, what is also present is the purpose embedded in all stories, that even against chaos's foreboding nature, there exists an indelible truth, because, at the end of it all, there was meaning. Thank you for making it this far into the video. Thinking with Purpose is a channel predicated on the purpose of stories. If this was of your liking, please check out my other videos. But regardless, thank you for watching this one.